Welcome to the Yin series. I'm Lucy from the studio to bring you this Yin series consisting of 7 videos tailoring a Yin practice to each of the chakras. They're those 7 energy centers that are aligned along our spine. If you're new to Yin, this is the perfect series for you to start your practice and begin building a Yin practice into your everyday life. Remember, your Yin practice is about giving up effort. It's all about relinquishing control. When we do this and when we enter the practice with that mindset, literally anything is possible. So remember, Yin Yoga aligns the body to serve the intention of the pose. When we stretch one part of the body, we affect another, and this is known as biotensegrity. All the parts working together to form one stable whole. So when we drop physical and muscular effort, the stretch is directed into our fascia, our connective tissue, which literally covers every single muscle, joint and cell within the body. One of the goals of Yin Yoga is to gently stress this tissue in a relaxed state so the tissue can rehydrate and retain healthy elasticity. This video is all about Svadhisthana. So this one dwells the place of the self and the home of sweetness and enjoyment of life. This center is actually an energetic abode for our pleasure, sexualities, emotions, desires, and creativity. This chakra is all about being able to go with the flow. So, let's make our way into our first posture. We're going to start with Child's Pose. This was a posture we started the first video with, and we're also going to start this video with it. So just rolling softly over your ankles and making your way into Child's Pose by taking knees mat distance, bringing big toes together, resting hips onto heels, and once again, let's slowly bring the body forwards. Now, if you're quite used to practicing Yin, you may wish to challenge yourself a little more here by taking the knees a little bit wider than you would have done previously. And as you relax into Child's Pose, remember those points of contact for the mat. It's navel, diaphragm, chest, and then chin. So this posture stimulates the different energy centers within the pelvic bowl. So as I said, the first and the second chakra. So just see if you can detect that energy, healing and feeding your reproductive organs. And as you relax into the pose, see if you can detect that feeling of your sacrum spreading as the skin widens across the lower back. Starting to tune in to that decompression that takes place. Remember, in Yin Yoga, we use a different style of breathing. We lengthen the exhalations, engaging our body's natural relaxation response, which is the activation of our parasympathetic nervous system. We discussed this in the first video, so I won't repeat myself now, but please remember that every practice you do comes back to this style of breathing. In Yin, we need the muscles to release. We need the muscles to let go. So as you relax your head down, obviously I'm talking, which is why my head is lifted, but you're looking to rest your forehead on the mat. And this is a very good grounding technique used by many yogis to just simply reconnect them back with the earth. Remember, in forward folds, we have to breathe consciously into the back of the body. Allowing the back of the rib cage to softly expand and recede with each breath in and each breath out. hips to just gently release down onto the heels. And be mindful of your knees. There's quite a deep softening going on here, working with a deep flexion. If at any point it gets too much, you can simply just lift up your buttocks and place a block or a blanket underneath, which will make the pressure across the top of the kneecap and around the front of it a bit less intense. And as you're in your child's pose, just observe the thoughts and emotions which may be present, remembering that the word emotion comes from the Latin word emovere, which literally means energy in motion. And that's all emotions are. Energy moving around the body with a connotation associated to it that's been attached by the mind. Take a big deep breath in, lengthen fingertips forwards, and as we exhale, allow the armpits and the navel and the chest to just softly release down onto your mat. One more time, inhale, lengthen through to fingertips. Exhale, surrender and allow the torso to fold forwards. Then as we inhale, let's softly lift head and chest and walk the hands back in. Just gently bring your knees together and just spend a moment here just observing the rebound effects of that posture. Observing if you feel more connected and grounded. And just simply being still and surrendering into your Balasana, your extended child's pose. And then making your way back to table. Stacking wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, spreading fingers wide like starfish. Having inner elbow joints facing one another and not collapsing in the spine like this. We squeeze the navel in, flattens the back but engages the core. Then as we inhale, we turn right toes under, extend the right leg back, and as we exhale, we lift the right toes off the mat. Push through here, lengthen from right heel to crown of head. As we exhale, think angry cat as we push the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling, squeezing the knee in nice and tight. Then flexing through the right foot, inhale, kick back to center, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze the knee in nice and tight. One more, inhale, kick back. As we exhale, this time let's squeeze the knee in and then try and lift that leg. Use your flexors here so you can bring the right knee behind the right hand. You want your right thigh to be parallel with the long edge of the mat. Ideally, we get the shin parallel with the top. That might not be possible. Your range of motion might be a bit more limited in the buttocks of the right glutes. So in which case, you can just bend that knee a little more. Try not to overbend it because we can put pressure across the ligaments in front of the kneecap. And then we simply just walk the hands around to the right and glance back at that left leg. Inhale, come back through to center. And as we exhale, we make it the sleeping swan version now. So here is pigeon. And then by folding, it makes it sleeping swan, the yin version of this posture. So once you settle into the position and lower forward, sense everything under the right glute, so your gluteus maximus covers the entire buttocks. And we have a group of muscles sitting underneath that called your external hip rotators or your abductors. The main one there being the piriformis and the gluteus minimus. When these muscles are tight, it really does affect our ability to move through life, as well as our ability to bend our lower back. So these muscles need to be released. However, when we work the outer edge of the body, so if you think of the outer edge as a shell, that shell is where the gallbladder meridian, which the meridians are energy channels, okay? And that runs down the outer edge of the body. Where that runs, we have obviously connective tissue around all our muscles, cells and joints, but the connective tissue on the outer edge of the body is a lot more coarse and dense, which is why it can feel fairly uncomfortable when we release those muscles and create space in that connective tissue. So allow the body to fold forwards without the need to try and change anything, just to observe everything that's taking place. Remembering the yin breathing. And if it feels comfortable to do so, you can stack your arms one on top of the other and bring the forehead in contact. If you wish to deepen the posture, you could always bring your left ear down onto your arms. That then just slightly readjusts the top of the spine, and that will help to encourage the front of the left hip bone down towards the floor, which is the aim of this pose. So we could almost balance a cup of tea on our backs. And bringing a full release into the right buttocks. Taking a big deep breath in, and exhale, allow that left hip bone to travel down as much as it possibly can. Then very gently bring your hands under your shoulders, elbows in, so you can inhale, come up with a straight spine. Just transfer the weight onto that right leg for me, and gently bring the left leg up to the top of the mat to join the right one. Bringing soles of feet together about a thigh distance away from the pelvis. Inhale, bring knees up, and then exhale, knees apart. And again, inhale, knees together. Exhale, apart. Feel the right side releasing. One more time, inhale, knees together, and exhale, knees apart. Then just bring the hands back behind you, fingers point forwards, cross one ankle over the other, and let's come back to our table pose. So you'll feel quite a big difference here between both sides. Just observe everything that's going on. And then with the next inhale, turn left toes under, extend the left leg away, and as we exhale, let's lift the left toes off the mat. With the inhale comes that lengthening from crown of head to heel of left foot. And as we exhale, we squeeze the knee in nice and tight, chin to chest. Flex left foot, inhale, kick back. Exhale, squeeze the knee in nice and tight. Push the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. And again, inhale, kick back. Exhale, squeeze the knee in. And then bring that left knee behind the left hand now, lowering down onto your left buttocks. If you're anything like me, this side may be a bit more congested. If not, you might be more open in this side. what tends to happen is both sides of the body act like sisters, not twins, so they'll never be identical, a bit like your eyebrows. So what we do here is just listen to the body, and this is where we need to tune into that internal awareness. So just position that foot as much as high up towards the top of the mat as you can. Shin parallel, remember to flex that left foot, it helps to protect the bent left knee. Initially we walk our hands round to the left, glancing back at the leg. Then as we inhale, we come back through to center, and as we exhale, we softly fold forwards. Breathing now into the left buttocks, observing any resistance that you can detect. Observing if maybe you can detect muscles that are simply clinging on. So thinking about the Svadhisthana chakra, so going back to the energetic philosophy that underpins a lot of our yoga practice. When this chakra, this energy center, is in balance, we are able to just step into the flow of life, connect with the beauty of simply just being alive. When out of balance, we can feel disconnected from life. We're either holding on to something or holding back from something. And given the last 12 months where the whole world has literally faced one of the most challenging times ever, it may be that this chakra is out of balance. You may have struggled to connect with the flow of life, with it having been so different due to COVID. So just observe here. Observe the emotions that come up. Observe sensations. Observe everything that's taking place. Okay, taking a big deep breath in. And as we exhale, just encourage the right hip bone down towards the floor. You may even wish to take your right hand back and just adjust that hip down. One more time, big deep breath in and exhale. Well done. Quite a deep posture. I think it's your second posture of the practice, so well done there. Bring your hands back under shoulders, elbows in. Inhale, let's roll up. Transfer the weight over to the left leg and let's gently encourage that right leg to the top of the mat, bringing soles of feet together. Inhale, knees together, and then exhale, knees apart. Inhale together, and exhale apart. One more time, inhale together and exhale apart. Good, then let's draw the knees in and just extend your legs out in front of you. You might want to get hold of your bum cheeks and roll them right back behind you. If you have a block to hand, that can help with your caterpillar, our next posture, Paschimottanasana, as it's referred to in Sanskrit. Just by placing the block behind the soles of the feet, you can encourage a deeper fold in your lower back. So with caterpillar, we need to be careful. What we don't want to happen is that, where we're literally straightening the legs, not creating space in the lower back, and over arching and leaning forwards, creating that hunch shape in the mid-spine. We want to keep the belly and the diaphragm firmly glued to the front of the thighs. And then with the exhale, you just encourage the heels away, softly and slowly. And at the point where you feel like the navel and the diaphragm are going to leave and lose contact with the front of the legs, that's the point where you stop straightening. So it doesn't matter if you have a soft bend in your knees. Your knees could even be bent like that, as long as this is flat and not like this, okay? So just bring this block, like I say, if you don't have a block, you can just hold on to the little to edge of the feet. A block's more for more people that have been practicing yin a bit longer. And we just softly extend those legs away. Enjoying the stretch down the entire posterior chain of the body, starting at the calf muscles, the hamstrings, the glutes, the lower back, all the way along the spine, feeling that release in that deeper rectus spinae muscle, feeling the release across the lats, the upper traps, into the rhomboids, and make sure the rhomboids are still engaged. We're still squeezing those shoulder blades together so we maintain an open chest. And just enjoy the release and the surrender of this posture. If you do find that you are quite flexible and your belly almost gets in the way, you could just open your legs. I wouldn't open them more than about 40 centimeters, and then you could just allow the belly to then lower down towards the floor in the middle of the legs. Don't take them too wide. We're not working in dragonfly, which is our seated wide angle. We're working in caterpillar, our seated forward fold, really working into the hamstrings. And in terms of energy, again, these forward folding postures are very yin in nature. They're very calming, very soothing, allowing us to surrender to the practice. We're not spending too long here, so we're going to take another deep breath in and exhale, fold. Well done. Then we inhale, come up, and again roll up with a straight spine. Just bring the hands down by the hips, and again just enjoy that rebound effect of this posture. Observe the muscles releasing, the energy settling, and how it's affecting your overall mood. And then we're going to come into Prakasana frog pose. Now this is a very intense posture. It's known as the internal rotation one. It creates an internal rotation in the hip joint. I'm going to just demonstrate half frog, which if you're new to yin, you may well want to start here. So for half frog, Ardha Prakasana, you would gently just bring that knee out to the side, flexing the foot, so literally the ankle is beneath the knee. You want that knee at least in line with the hip, if not higher. So I know I sleep this way, this is fairly comfortable for me. So if you've got your right leg out, you would bring your right ear down, look over to the left. Okay, a very restorative posture, this one. I'll let you know when it's halfway through, if you're taking the half version, and then you just simply repeat it on the left side. For the full frog, I would advise you go sideways on your mat like this. That means then that if you're on a hard floor, you've got your knees protected. In the absence of being able to do that, if you prefer to go forwards, you can just use these little knee pads like this. You can get them from anywhere, or Amazon, anything like that. Just a little bit of cushioning to protect the patella, the kneecap. So in full frog, we take those knees as wide as we can. So if you have a target towards box splits, this is certainly a posture you need to do. We again push the hips back. The hips want to be further back behind you than the knees. If they're in front, what happens is you feel like you're just going to roll forwards, and we don't want that. So we push the hips back, and you're going to feel this. We flex the feet so the ankles are situated beneath the knees, and then we flex the toes so they point outwards. And that's the movement that changes the position of the greater trochanter, which is the top of your femur, your hip bone, thigh bone. And when we flex the feet out, it slightly internally rotates the greater trochanter in the hip socket. So it can be quite an uncomfortable pose. I know this is one of my nemesis postures, if not the most difficult posture for me. We have to be careful we don't collapse in the lower back. So stay in your version here. I'm just going to move to demonstrate. When we collapse in the lower back in frog, this happens. You stick your bum up. And that might look pretty, but that's not what we want in yin. So if you don't want to fully lie in a bolster, you could just bring a block under your belly. And what that does is stop the back from collapsing. When we're internally rotating in the hip joint, what we don't want to do is bend the lower back and contract it, because that puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on the lumbar vertebrae. It's a very powerful groin opener. It targets upper adductor muscles as well as stretching the entire adductor muscles running along your inner thighs. When the back is protected, so when you're using a support of some kind, it regenerates the lower back tissues through a gentle compression. So this is what I was saying about it not being too intense and too deep. This posture also aids digestion and cramps. So if you suffer from any IBS, you suffer from menstrual cramps, anything like that, this posture is really set to help to aid those. It helps to release tension along those lower reproductive organs and digestive organs. So as you're in this posture, just reflect on the experience. It could be that the muscles are screaming at you. Just observe. For those that are doing half frog, please gently start to straighten that right leg. Come back to a prostrated position, lay on your tummy. And then when you're ready, you will take your left leg out to the side and repeat the posture on the other side. If you want to, you can once again stack the arms, or you might prefer to bring a block on your head to support the forehead. And remember, in yin, we're trying to find the edge. So we have what's called a target edge in yin. And it's a moving target. So when you enter a posture, at first, you feel that target. You reach it, you stop. What happens is after 1 to 2 minutes, that discomfort starts to release slightly. And that's when you can then move further into the posture. So remember, you're finding out where the edge of the eustress, that's the good stress for the body, without de-stressing the body in any way. And remember, the edge is not seen as extreme or an end range of motion, but a place that feels therapeutically good and effective in both physical tension release and emotional tension release. And as the practice develops, that edge will move for you, and you can just adjust and train your body to travel deeper into the pose by, for example, if you're in full frog, just gently allowing the knees to part a little more. And as these postures progress, you may observe different states of minds that arise. As I said, there could be physical discomfort, or the mind may start to drift. So just use this as an opportunity to get committed to your yin practice. regardless of the physical and mental circumstances that may arise. Slow, deep breaths. Don't let the breath become rougher or shorter. Allow that breath to just flow effortlessly. Taking a big deep breath in and then exhale. Allow the navel to just lower down towards the mat. And then softly, if you're in the half version, please straighten that leg and come back to that prostrated position, lying on your tummies. For those in the full frog, we're going to now bring the hips forward, so we simply lie onto our tummy and then we gently draw those legs and feet back together. And just come into a kneeling position here. Allow yourself to just reflect on that practice, on that posture, and how your body is now feeling, especially in the hips. And then before we move into relaxation, we're going to visit one posture, which is more of a back bend here, called Sphinx. Sphinx Pose is a very restorative back bend, probably the most restorative one in the back bend series in yoga. You can deepen it and come into seal pose, so I'll demonstrate both. And remember, all we're doing here is creating that compression in the lower back so we can release through the abdomen. So just coming forwards if you're kneeling. For those that are already still lying down, you're just simply going to bring your elbows underneath your shoulders, making sure the elbows are directly aligned. You can take hold of opposite elbows like that to make sure the elbows don't go too wide. And just start to feel the length through the front of the body, detecting that compression in your lumbar. So with Sphinx Pose, you can turn the toes under. That helps to protect the lower back if you have any lower back issues, or you can simply release the legs. Now in a vinyasa or a hatha class, you would remain quite active here. You'd squeeze your buttocks, you'd push through your toes, your kneecaps may lift. We're not doing that in yin. We're simply relaxing from the hips down. So just allowing the buttocks, the legs, everything to release, whilst we remain quite active in the upper parts of the body. So we inhale, lengthen all the way from navel to crown of head. And as we exhale, we squeeze the shoulder blades together, releasing through the chest. And just observing how different it feels to breathe this way. The postures you've done today have been forward folds, which is where we will obviously compress and shorten the front of the body somewhat, so it makes it difficult to breathe into your chest and abdomen. In this posture, it's more difficult to breathe into the back of the rib cage, so observe the difference. If you wish to come into seal pose, we plant the hands down, and on the next inhale, lift up. Be careful you don't overextend elbows here, inner elbow joints face one another. Much deeper variation here. And again, you can just observe if that gets too much, lower the forearms back down. So this is all about tuning in to everything that's going on within, both physically and energetically. We're also resting on the front of the pelvis, which is obviously where the Svadhisthana chakra is located. It's in between the base and the solar plexus, which is your navel, so right in the middle there. And again, just observe if you feel any energetic effects from the pose. Take a big deep breath in, lengthen all the way through the front of the body. And as we exhale, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Feel the release across the chest once again. One more time, big deep breath in. And exhale, squeeze those shoulder blades together. And then at the end of the exhale, just softly lower back down onto your tummy. Bring the hands under the shoulders, elbows in. Keep the knees together this time. And just bring yourself into a smaller ball as possible. Chin to chest. Crown of the head down towards the mat. Taking the arms back behind you. And allowing that lower back to just gently release that compression. Softly decompressing as we observe the rebound effects of our Sphinx Pose. And then with the next inhale, let's roll up. And then you're simply just going to come and lie down on your backs and come back to Shavasana. So this is obviously a posture which a lot of people use to signal the end of a class. It's just about the body absorbing all the hard work you've just done. So we gently lower the back down onto the mat. We release the legs out in front of us, palms face upwards. Really walk those shoulder blades away from the ears. Make sure we've not got too large a gap here between the lower back and the floor. Maybe tilt that pubic bone slightly up towards the navel, which helps to release the lower back. Have your palms facing upwards, a very receptive sign, and just allow the eyes to softly close. And just allow yourself to reconnect back with the earth. Observing how your body now feels. So when we work with the lower chakras of matter, the lower 3 chakras of matter, very physical in nature, there's a lot of work that's done on the hips and lower back. So observe how they're feeling. And then you may wish to allow your hands to rest on your lower abdomen. So you're connecting with that energy center of Svadhisthana. You could even bring one of your hands to rest on your heart, the other hand resting on those lower 3 chakras of matter, so aligning our heart with our inner strength. And allowing your body to just relax. Deepening the breath, giving permission to your body to just relax and let go. And then very, very slowly release the hands down by the hips if they're resting on the heart or the lower abdomen. And start to reintroduce soft, subtle movement as we bring the body back now to this present moment. Introducing movement by circling wrists, the ankles clockwise and anti-clockwise. And then extending the arms above the head into lock all fingers. Turn palms of hands away from body and point toes. And as we exhale, let's draw those knees in, wrap your arms around and give yourself a really big hug. Then gently roll onto your left side. And in your own sweet, beautiful time, come and rejoin me back in a seated or kneeling position. And just spending a moment here to just observe your practice, observe the changes and the benefits that you've created. And just taking a moment now to invite in some gratitude. Gratitude that you've given your body the time and the space to just let go. Thank you so much for joining me for this yin series where we explore. Thank you so much for joining me for this yin series where we explored our Svadhisthana chakra. Next time, the third video will be based around the Manipura chakra, so that's our solar plexus, situated just at the navel. So please join me for that video and we can learn some more about that chakra. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and please continue to stay safe and stay well. Namaste.